All right. Now, this next guy, I want to have on speed dial, Jefferson, not just because you have like what, 5 million Instagram followers or whatever, but argue less, talk more. So the next conversation is the title of the book, but the subtitle, Argue Less, Talk More, seems tailor made for what we're experiencing at the moment. How do you disagree without being defensive? How do you remind someone they're sending you on a guilt trip? That it's not just that they're trying to correct you, but how do you do it with compassion, but with great communication skills? So, anyway, this next book is really interesting, practical, and timely. Jefferson Fisher is a trial lawyer, writer, and speaker whose work to help people communicate during life's everyday arguments and conversations has gained millions of followers around the world. And I think you come from a storytelling attorney family, if I'm not mistaken. So you're Texas board certified personal injury attorney because you broke off from the family firm and the founder of Fisher Firm, where he helps people all over the United States connect to trusted legal services. You live with your wife and 2 children near Beaumont, Texas. His editor, Jacob, whom I whom I don't know, but I has done a wonderful job on this book, joined Penguin in 2023, where he publishes a variety of nonfiction, including self-help, big idea, big think, popular science, psychology, business, etc. And he's especially drawn to books with clear takeaways that approach familiar topics from unexpected angles, which I think this book really pulls off. So, what I'd love to hear is how this relates to our current time. Obviously, the book was written, put together, it takes a year or two to put together a book. So it wasn't, you know, um, created in this particular moment, but what was the process behind it? And thank you for joining. Turn on your microphone.
Julie, definitely a timely topic. I think communication is always timely. Good to see you, Jefferson. It's fun. The book is almost out, and we'll get through things like this.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Jacob has been amazing. I've been extremely blessed and lucky to have Jacob with me, so I can't say enough good about him. And good to see you, man. Let's kick it off.
Just like Judy said with the opening title, when we first got your proposal, Marion, our editor in chief, and Megan, who was our publisher at the time, instantly were like, we have to buy this book. When I was looking at your social media feed, at that point, you only had about 2 million followers, I think. You're up to 6 million now on Instagram. Struck by how unique your communication style is. You do a really great job of advocating for yourself or teaching people how to do that, but also keeping the relationship as the most important thing. There's always going to be a next conversation, as you like to say. I wonder if you could explain a little bit about how you kind of evolved that over time and what inspired you to make this into a book.
When I first started making the videos, I never in a million years thought this is what it would turn into. Like, it just imagine somebody saying, "Hey, Jacob, 3 years from now, you're going to be doing something that's absolutely insane that you never thought you'd be doing, and you'd have millions of people watching you do it." It's just one of those things that it just kind of came at the right time and the right doors open and you just walk through it. I love communication. I find it just intriguing and it matches with my personality and how I like to deal with people. I think that resonates in my social media videos. I like to do things that are very short and concise and very practical. And that translates into the videos. And I just thought, what if I can make a video that gives somebody some value for free? When people said, "Hey, we like this," I said, "Okay, I can come up with some more." And I continued just to roll through my own experiences in my own life, from being a board certified trial attorney to I am the fifth generation trial attorney. I'm the oldest of four. I've always loved communication. Have a gift for it. Don't ask me to do math or build you a treehouse. I'm not that guy, but I can blow a lot of hot air. I love communication in all its formats and its ways and intricacies. I just never thought in a million years I'd write a book, and I kept getting questions of followers commenting, "You need to write a book. Will you please write a book?" And I thought, well, I'll be doggone. I guess I need to write a book. And so that's how that happened. And my Agent Tess is just fantastic with Europa content. Just amazing. And I wrote a proposal and I had no clue if anybody was going to like it.
Yeah, that's a incredible story. I mean, I think, as you said, like 2.5 years ago, you were
The guy's still talking to himself in the car. So it's all the
yeah.
same thing, just a little bit different.
Yeah, so I wanna go into 2 concepts that are really core to the book that are come up early in the manuscript and kinda shape the whole thing. So the first is the title concept, "The Next Conversation."
Yeah.
I think funny enough, we actually found the title kinda late in the process. It took us quite a while to get there, but looking back, it kinda
Yeah.
seems inevitable. So, yeah, just curious about if you could explain that a bit and how that ties into what you teach.
I've always, ever since I was a kid, even things that my parents instilled in me, if I made a mistake or I said the wrong thing, it was how do you fix it? How do you change what is present to something that is different than it was? And it just, what happens next, what you say next, what you do next. It's this concept that you can really change anything and everything on what happens next. And that's same for your communication. Doesn't matter what you said in the past, you can change it with what you say next. Often, it's not the first conversation that's important, it's the next one. When your first impression starts to kind of wilt away, it's that next conversation that's can be the lasting one, the lasting impression. And I found it's powerful to give readers this insight. They're not reading the book or listening to my content to handle the last conversation. They're looking to handle the next one. And so that image to me, it just seems like such a bedrock of, yeah, I've said things in the past. I've dealt with that difficult person. I need to know what to say to them next. That's the concept we ran with, and I loved it.
I think it's brilliant because 'cause we're always looking forward.
You can't look back. You always have to be straight ahead.
The next concept, to be honest, it threw me for a loop when I first read your first draft. I think it's like chapter 3. It's called "Never Win an Argument." I pushed back a bit. I said, "Are you sure you really mean this?"
You
Like
did,
you
yeah.
you held firm, and I think it's a really incredible concept. So I wonder if you could just explain that a little bit and what you mean by that.
Yeah, there's so many things out there trying to sell you the idea of how to win every argument. I mean, this concept that's so not true. When you are in an argument and you do win it, let's say you raise your voice and you make that point that's such a cutting remark, or you maybe embarrass them or put them down, you feel like you won. So many times you lose so much more. Like you lose the connection, you lose their trust, you lose their respect, you lose confidence in one another. Over time, the more you win, the less you gain. So all you've won is their contempt. You've won the awkward silence every time you pass each other in the hallway now. So it's this relationship between winning an argument and losing the relationship. To me, it is the relationship that you want to stay with. So if you aim to win an argument, you're going to lose a lot more. The idea is instead of having something to prove, it's something to learn. The line that you loved a lot is one of the biggest takeaways in the book, to have something to learn, not something to prove when you go into that conversation. I still hold true. Winning an argument is never going to give you much, at least nothing to brag about.
Yeah, I think we've all had that experience of winning an argument, and then you have to deal with the aftermath of that.
Yeah, yeah. You're most likely the one who's going to need to apologize. That's what happens. You
Exactly.
won yourself the first to apologize. That's what you did.
It's very true. So I think the last question I'll ask. So when I first read the first draft that you sent in, you sign the book, you come back 6 months later or something with the first draft. I immediately knew it was special, I think, by page 10. But I
That's
also
awesome.
know that you had your ups and downs throughout the process. You experimented with the voice you were using. And
Yeah.
I wonder if you could talk a little bit as a first time author, just what it was like to write a book.
It's not something you can read in a blog of that kind of magnitude. I didn't really know what I was getting into. I didn't even really know what an editor did. I didn't know what a book coach was. I Googled most things, and I still Google things. But the process with Torture Perigee has been phenomenal. The team is incredible. Lindsay's wonderful. Everybody's great. And what made it so special was that y'all allowed me to keep my voice. And even when I got a book coach, and I went from one to another, and name is Blake Atwood, fantastic around the Dallas area. And what he did such a great job of was just keeping me disciplined. That's the hardest part of writing. You can get inspired in moments where you're like, I have something, I'm great. And you feel like you're in that moment. But if it's dry and you don't feel inspired, it's a grind, even though you need to get words on the page. Sometimes you just have to write until you figure out where you want to go. It's a very patient process. It was one where I know any author can resonate with this, or any editors. You go through this ebb and flow of everything's great, and then you hit that low of like, this is going to be the worst book. Why did I say yes to this? This is a terrible idea. Then you end up eventually good on the other side of it. So the best part about it was the people that believed in me and helped me. It's not something I did solo, and for good reason. Everybody was fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing how publishing is a real community.
I felt very
Really is.
supported
Yeah.
by my group.
Well, congratulations on that, Jacob. And what if I disagree with you, Jefferson?
Oh,
No,
you can disagree with me.
but I've looked at a lot of your Instagrams. What would you say to me if I say, "No, I think you're wrong"?
Well, I would give you a phrase that I love to use, and that's, I see things differently.
That is perfect. Okay, but I don't disagree with you actually.
Awesome. Thank y'all so much for having me.
This was wonderful, and have a good evening.
You
Thank
too.
you, Lee.
Thanks, Jacob.